We're here in central Christchurch today, Cathedral Square, looking at measuring the stabilisation phase of the Christ Church Cathedral. Because of the risk involved, we're having to stay about 15-20 metres away from the building. We're using a bit of survey equipment to shoot a laser in, plot the corners of the walls to set up our stabilisation frame in the centre of the wall and the hold-down bolts. Right now, one of our leading project managers / detailer, Henry, is just finishing up a hold-down bolt survey on the north porch stabilisation frame. He'll go back to the office and port that into Tekla and check the relation between the hold-down bolts and the wall. The reason for the stabilisation frame is so workers can gain access safely to the building through the deconstruction and reconstruction process. So right now we're standing in front of the west wall, which the first piece of permanent structure is going to be going in. As you can see, we've had to come up with some pretty ingenious ways to get the survey done, which we created this post so we can put our survey equipment on top to shoot into the building. Once it's surveyed, Henry will bring in the points of Tekla, polish off the drawings, and we'll issue the job for fabrication.
When I was on site previously, we done a hold-down bolt check on the north porch of the building, which is down here, and these little dots over here is what we actually recorded on site. And then once that gets into our system, I can change things in my model to make sure it fits as what is on site. With the earthquake, this whole roof here collapsed, making this wall very vulnerable. So before they can actually access the building, they need to stabilise that front face of the building first. On the west wall, this structure over here is actually the first bit of permanent steel that's not going to be removed afterwards. And when we do install it, we actually have to have a steel plate fixed to the frame with the date that it was installed, as it is going to be documented in the heritage documentation. So now that the collaboration between the three models have been done and the shop drawings have been signed off by the structural engineer, we actually have the steel in the workshop being fabricated at the moment.
So we're standing outside Bay 1, VIP's main fabrication workshop. And now that the job's been issued for fabrication, we're going to go have a catch up with Tyler, our main production manager, to see how the job's going.
What you guys are currently looking at here is one half to the south transit frame stabilisation for Christ Church Cathedral. As a whole, the singular column spans 15 metres long, 900 wide, and currently sits at 5 tonnes. Due to the sheer weight and size of these columns, they'll be individually loaded onto a truck and sent to the painters. From the painters, they'll be individually loaded onto a truck, and from there to site. Once on site, this will be erected into its full state, which is one big frame standing 20 metres tall and 24 tonnes in total. And from there, it's on the site workers to erect it.
I'm feeling like a rocket. You burn me up. You give me a rush, yeah. You burn me up. Turn up to 11. You burn me up. Hands down, you're a 10 out of 10. I really
This morning we started a nice early start here, 6:30 a.m. Did a bit of a safety pre-brief, run over the TA before we started unloading the truck. Once Kerry arrived here, we brought him in through this south gate here and drove him in, unloaded him from this position. Just waiting on one more truck now, and then we'll be into assembling the frame.
The process this morning is first up we're going to rig the 250 tonne crane to the top of the frame, the 90 tonne crane to the bottom. Won't take all the weight, but we'll just get them under tension. At that point we'll stop. Everybody will get together. We've got our exclusion zones in place. We'll have a toolbox talk, a meeting, discuss the methodology. Once all our ducks in a row and everybody's happy, we'll proceed with the lift.
The purpose of the frame is to secure to the wall to make it safe for the deconstruction and rebuild of the blockwork on this face.
Tomorrow we are installing the west end frame. For this we have used the latest 3D scanning technology to do our surveys. So when the frame turns up on site, it ensures a flawless install.
Today is a monumentous day for the cathedral. We're going to be lifting in, as you can see in the background, a circa 20-ton steel frame, which is going to completely change the outlook of the cathedral. It's obviously had a gaping hole in the front of it for the last 9 years since the Canterbury earthquakes, and today we are going to put my steel frame in with a really nice canvas cover on, mimicking the rose window. So we've got VIP as our main steel installers, and we've got Titan's cranes. So today is also the closure of all the planning that's went into this. We've been planning over the last 3 months, many meetings has went into it, and today is the big day for us.
So behind me here on the floor is the west end frame. It is not the biggest bit of steel going in at the moment, as it only weighs about 17 tons. But it is the most significant piece. Is once this one is installed, it will at a later stage get enclosed. That takes the big rose window that got badly damaged in the earthquake. So at the moment, it's hooked up to a 250-ton crane, which will then swing it around and fill the big hole that's facing the public. So with a lot of work being done in the background and a lot of people's input, you can see that the west end frame went in quite smoothly today. We are currently in the stabilisation phase of this project, which is crucial to gaining access to the building, which will then eventually lead on to the strengthening and reinstatement stage. The next 2 major structures coming up, which forms part of the stabilisation phase, is the north transit frame and the apse, which actually wraps around the back of the building.
So we're back down here at the Christ Church Cathedral. As you can see, the west wall's all clad in now. The work behind us is ongoing. We'd like to thank everyone who is part of this project, and it's going to be a great asset to the city.